I'm Scragg, Technical Training Manager for the RMI. Okay. Hopefully you all know the RMI. If you don't, do a lot of MOT training, 4 academies across the UK, predominantly MOT. Do a bit of ADAS, but wheel alignment, hybrid, EV, that kind of stuff as well. Okay. So just a bit of background on us. What I want to talk about, MOT updates, the status of the MOT at the minute, some things that you may not be aware of that are coming in the future, that are being trialled or being rolled out next week, that kind of thing, connected equipment, that kind of stuff as well. So currently I'm going to go through current MOT statistics, the dreaded 411 potentially. Okay, we don't really know where we stand with it, but we'll see how we get on. Tester risk rating, trying to predominantly get testers to look at it and from a vehicle testing station point of view, how they understand it as well, because it's going to have an effect on that. Okay. The requirements becoming an MOT tester, because it's changed very slightly recently, including DBS checks. Okay, so just make sure everybody understands that. ADM roles and requirements. With a recent special notice a couple of months back, the AEP role came in, the ADM role requirements changed very, very slightly. Annual training. Okay, so looking at the topics, a couple of websites that you might want to go on to, just give yourself a bit of revision. And the reinstatement has changed as well, okay, from suspended testers. And then having a look at the future and what's coming with connected equipment, cameras, that kind of thing as well, okay? I'll do questions at the end, so if you want to make any notes or give us a shout, and then we'll do some questions at the end, okay? So if you look at current data, for the last full year that we've got at the minute, because 2021, 2022's only gone up to April, so we've not got the data from the last quarter of 2022. 2021 we did just over 30 million tests. Okay, it normally ranges from about 30 to 32 million. Okay, total failed 7 million. So failure rate normally sits between 20 and 30% on an annual basis. Okay, if you then bring in 411, we could double that, couldn't we? Quite easily. Okay, if you break down this year currently, it's quieting down a little bit, so you can see from the last stats that the 6-month extension, even though a lot of people's cars sat at home didn't really do anything, it had quite a big effect on it. So April 21 to June 21, 22, current test 5.5 million, thereabouts. Total fails 1.2 million, with failed defects, with one dangerous defect, 412,000 in a quarter. Okay, and then July to September 21, 8.5 million with just over 1.9 million fails, with 633,000 dangerous defects. And then October to December, 8.7 million with 2.2 million fails, and 721,000 with dangerous defects. Okay, so like I say, we don't know what's going to happen with this. If you're a tester or you've got access to the MTS, you should have received a direct message to say that if anything is going to change, there will be a public consultation. Okay, it's got to go through legislation. It's not just going to go, this is happening. What I would say is to people is keep an eye out. If it does go to a public consultation, go and have your say. Don't just sit back and hope that everybody else says it, and then they do push through 411 and we all go, why is this happening? Go on there. If you're with the idea, then okay, that's fine, but most aren't. Okay, it's going to take a lot of revenue off independent garages. It's going to save the consumer £40, £45, but then in the long run, 12 months down the line, it may cost them twice as much to repair it because it's sat there, and you know it's going to have a huge effect on garages. So if it goes to a public consultation, go on, have your say, put your point across. Okay, massively, and tell your customers. You know, it's not just garages. Go and tell your customers. Just say this is what's happening. You know, it's going to affect your repair costs. Temporarily now, you might save a few quid, but down the line in 12 months' time, it may cost you twice as much. So just get the word out, put it across to everybody. Okay, but just keep an eye on it. They haven't said at the moment when the public consultation and if one will go out. Just keep an eye on the government website. Okay. Tester risk rating. Any testers? Testers? Do you check it regular? Yeah, most months. So you know you're going to get a red, amber and green risk rating from the previous month. one thing to bear in mind as well, it does get fed into your VTS risk rating. Okay, so you may see your risk rating on your VTS change more frequent than it used to. Okay, not necessarily saying if somebody gets red, not necessarily saying somebody's done something wrong, but you need to look into the reasons why you may be red or amber or green. Even if you're green, it's not something that you sit back and go, you know, I'm green, I'm happy, everything's good. Check on the data. You can't control the age of vehicles that come in, you can't control the amount of failures that you do. Just be aware that it's there, okay? You need to be putting things in place that if you are looking after older vehicles, maybe up your quality control checks and have a word with your tester and just make them aware. Anybody that greatly varies from the average, and that's all it is, it's an average, it's not a target, it's just an average, will get a higher rating. Okay, and like I say, it's not necessarily saying you're red, you're doing something wrong, but the DVSA want you to go to it and go, did you look into the reasons why you're red? Did you understand it? What did you do about it? To monitor it maybe, okay? It is a higher rating to the AE and the DVSA. It's completely down to the tester if they want to share that RAG rating with the site manager, with the AEDM, okay? It's in your best interest that they do share it because it is having an effect on the overall site as well. Okay, but it is completely down to them. Like I say, it doesn't necessarily mean doing anything wrong, and they are refreshed on a monthly basis. Okay? The only other time that their risk rating may change is if they've had some disciplinary, a re-inspection that was unsatisfactory. That's going to have an effect on this as well. Okay? Just something to bear in mind, and it's not solely down to the tester or the site manager. It should be a combination of everybody coming together to keep an eye on it. All right? How you check your risk rating, log in, click on your profile at the top on the MTS, over on the right hand side where it just says where you qualified on Group B or Group A, depending on which one you do, you should see a tester rate, RAG, red, amber, green. Okay? Always something to bear in mind as well, if you're taking on new testers, is looking in this box here, make sure they're qualified, they're not lapsed, they're not suspended. Okay? So click on your profile, click on the right hand side, it says there, MOT Tester's risk rating, go to your profile, individual risk rating, it's a tester's choice. Okay, but you're not hiding anything. Go into your TQI once you've seen your risk rating, go into your test quality information from your profile page on the right hand side and have a look at what your average test time is, your average failure rate is, the amount of tests done. You get a lot of testers that come to us and say I'm in red. You look at their tests done, they've done twice or 3 times the national average. They're not doing anything wrong. You can't turn around and say, no, sorry, I'm doing too many this month. As long as you bear that in mind and go, okay, what we'll do then, we'll do 2 QCs this month instead of 1. Okay? As long as the DVSA can see something that you're monitoring it and you're doing something about it to control that measure, then that's fine. You can change it from last month to 3 months. I think personally, my point of view, I think the last month's more precise than the last 3 months, especially if you're looking around the beginning of the year or the end of the year. Okay? So you get your risk rating. If you're red, you are at higher risk. Let's say you're not doing anything wrong, but you're at higher risk. You need to look into the reasons why. Just go into there, just compare your data to what's going on at the site and what's going on nationally as well. If you look at the site, one and everybody else is the same, it's more than likely everything that just comes through your doors, which you can't control. Okay? The national averages are not targets. They're not targets to be met. They're statistics that data can be compared to. That's it. Okay? If you're medium, again, look into the reasons, and even if you're green, it still says you should look into the reasons, make sure you test it right, make sure you follow the processes. It doesn't mean you're green, everything's perfect and fine. It just means you're a lower risk than everybody else. Okay? It is fed into the VTS red, amber, green rating as well. So just bear that in mind. You may see that change around more frequent than it used to. Okay? Becoming an MOT tester has changed very, very slightly. So the main bulk of it's still the same. So to become an MOT tester, you need to have a UK and current UK full driving licence. There is a small requirement there. If you have a tester that hasn't got a UK driving licence, as long as they have a regulated driving licence that they've lived in the UK for the first 12 months and it's a clean driving license, you can accept that. After it goes after 12 months, they should be applying for a UK driving license. Okay, it can't be a provisional license, it's got to be a full-on UK unrestricted license. Be a skilled mechanic, at least 4 years full-time experience. So again, bear in mind if you've got an apprentice that's doing day release or fortnightly college visits, that time in the college does not count. It's got to be garage workshop experience. Okay, so you're looking at an average age of 19, 20 plus. Okay, and it's got to be on servicing and repair on the vehicle classes that they want to test. Okay, so it's no use saying I've got 10 years experience on heavy goods and I want to be a car tester. It's got to be on the cars. Okay, no unspent convictions and be of a good repute. You know, they've not got any suspended sentences, they've not been in trouble with the police, they've not been done for fraud, that kind of thing. And it says there, in addition, anybody wishing to become a tester must hold a level 3 qualification or the equivalent to a level 3. Again, you can accept non-UK ones, but it depends on the eligibility list. If you've not, then you can quite happily get them through a level 3 quite quickly. Okay, but it's got to be a level 3 or the equivalent to. On top of that, Special Notice 0322 that came out on the 1st of March. Anybody that's new to testing from the 1st of March 22, from the 1st of April, sorry, 22, came out on the 1st of March 22, they need to do a DBS check. Okay? One thing to bear in mind with the DBS check, it's not when they are attending the course. It's when they are completing their VT8, their demo. Okay, so they complete their course, they do everything with the training provider, they go off and do their VT8 demonstration test with the vehicle examiner. That DBS check must be completed and dated within the last 3 months. So the best thing to do, once you want to become a tester, you've done all your training, arrange a VT8 with your DVSA vehicle examiner, get a date in stone, then do your DBS check. Okay, because you just don't know how long that period is going to take. It also stands for anybody returning to testing after they've been suspended. So if they've had a 28-day ban, they've had a 2-year ban or a 5-year ban, they would need to do a DBS check before they do their demonstration test or return to testing. Okay? Not tested in 5 years, so that could be, again, could be a suspension for 5 years, or could be that they just not carried out an MOT. So again, they are deemed as new testers, so they fall under that bracket again, so they need to do that DBS check. Also, anybody that wants to add another group. So if they're car testers, so they test in group B. If they want to become a bike tester, again, you go do through the initial training, you do a DBS check as well for that. Okay? Doesn't need to be an advanced one, it can just be a basic DBS check. We've got to make sure it's dated. It's sent to the DVSA before, and the vehicle examiner will check it on the day as well and check the validation on it of the 3 months. Okay, but if you're a tester now, it doesn't apply. ADM roles and requirements, responsibilities caused a bit of confusion, a few phone calls around it. We had a special notice go out February 22, special notice 0222. Previous to this special notice going out, if you were a vehicle testing station and you were one of the directors, you were the person that had to go on the manager's course, and you were the person that had to be the ADM. Okay? That's all good and well, but if you're a big branch, your director's probably not on the scene half the time. Okay, so it just made life a little bit difficult. From this special notice now, what they're allowing you to do, if you're a bigger independent garage and maybe the director's not on site so much, what you can do is nominate somebody to go on and be the ADM. What it does mean, and it's got to be somebody in a senior role, okay? So somebody makes the decisions, not your senior technician. It's got to be a decision-making person. You nominate that person. If the director of the company has not been on a manager's course previously, both them people would have to attend the manager's course. Okay? If one of the directors or the AEPs, the principals, have been on a manager's course previously, you could just send a senior manager on a centre manager course. He would then give that person the ADM role, or the DVSA would then apply that role to that person. It doesn't apply to anybody that is running a station now. Okay? It would only apply to somebody making a station, running a station now, if you're making changes to the ADM, the authorization. Okay, but if you're just running a station, it doesn't make any difference. There is a new role as well, which is an authorized examiner principal role. Okay, that's not being backdated, that's only going forward, which I'll go through in a second. And like I said, if you are going to apply the ADM role, you're going to nominate somebody to take the ADM role as a senior manager, they both need to hold the level 3 centre manager's qualification. Okay? DVSA will appoint the AEP, the ADM. The AEP role is a new role on the MOT testing service. It's not being backdated. Okay, so if you've got 4 managers, directors, AEPs, they're not all suddenly going to gain a role on the system. It's only going to be going forward from that point. Again, it's appointed by the DVSA. What the DVSA are wanting to do, they're wanting the AEPs to have a more involved running of the station. So you don't have 5 AEPs, one guy takes the ADM role, and then these 4 guys sit back and don't really have much involvement in it. They want everybody to have an active involvement in it, okay? Should be able to view and monitor, and keep an eye and see what's going on, and keep the details up to date as well, okay? Just say in the case of a change to the current AE, every AEP principal will need to create an account, and they will also receive it if they are making any changes to the current AE. Okay, so if you change directors or you change a legal entity, all them people that are directors will receive that AEP role. Okay? Which they have to complete Part B of the VTO 1 form, which will probably they'll need to do a DBS check as well. Okay? Annual training. So, we all know we've got to do it. You've got to decide how you train. You've got to do at least 3 hours. Okay, that's a minimum. Keep training records. We're on the 6th year now. Okay, so you've got to keep 5 years records. Book your annual assessment once you've done your training. Take the annual assessment and record your result. Okay, the main thing is you've got to make sure that result is on the system. That's the problem where they're suspending quite a lot of people. That's where they're having people do the training, the automated system doesn't work for whatever reason, date of births don't marry all, DVSA user IDs don't marry all, and people are being suspended because they're not checking it's on the system. Okay? We know that the groups have been split into 2, so if you test in both groups, you need to do minimum 3 hours training in the top group, minimum 3 hour training in group B as well, unless the topics carry over. If they marry one another, then you don't need to train in both. So, in order to maintain testing status, you've got to complete a minimum of 16 hours of a rolling 5-year period, complete a minimum of 3 hours training every year, and pass the annual assessment. And that will be for both groups if you test them both. Okay? Current topics for this year for Group B, because we're mainly around cars, brake test procedures. Okay, so I know quite a few stations are ATL or OPTL now, but if you move away from that or that ATL system stops working, you need to know how to use it manually. So brake test procedures in there, MOT test procedures, managing your account, keeping your CPD up to date, and then again, the broad topic, which is the MOT inspection manual. Okay, so pretty much everything and anything. Just worth one thing mentioning is it's worth going onto this website. If you're a tester and you've not yet done your annual training and you want to know a bit more of a breakdown from the topics, this is more on how to become a training provider. But if you go on there from a tester point of view, it will actually break down the sections and give you sections on what you're going to get questions on. Okay, so just give you a bit more added information before you go for your training, before you do your training online. It's worth just having a look through. Regarding suspension, so 2021 to 2022, so ended in April, 1st of May, 1,824 testers got suspended, which to be fair is not a huge amount. You get the general people leaving, people sadly passing away, not wanting to test anymore, that kind of thing. So you're going to get a constant people being suspended. The previous year, because of COVID and everything else, I think it was something like 4,400. Okay, again, because people were losing staff members, people would change roles and all that kind of stuff. Okay, the thing that has changed This year, which obviously the training year comes to an end in 2023, is the reinstatement process. Previous to 2022-2023, there's always been that thing of you may have to complete a demonstration test. Okay, it's never really happened. So what they've done is, if you were one of them 1,824 testers that got suspended, let's say in the previous year, as long as you completed your training and you sent a copy to the DVSA, they would automatically put you on as soon as they saw your certificate on your profile. What they're now saying is, if you get suspended, you'll need to complete the current year, so 2022-2023, ensure it's displayed under your profile, contact the DVSA, and request a demonstration test. They then get a vehicle examiner to call you to potentially arrange a demonstration test. It's not set in stone, but I'm not saying they're not going to. And we don't know how long the waiting time is for that. You could be waiting a month. If he turns around and says, yeah, you've got to do a demo test because you've got 3 testers, you could be out of testers for a month. Okay? With annual training, you know yourselves, you normally leave it to January, February, maybe sometimes. Try and get it done as soon as you can. It's not worth running the risk of getting suspended. Okay, because you're going to get this delay and you're going to have to do a demonstration test potentially. What's coming up going forward? So we've obviously got connected equipment, we've had it out for a while now. Currently connected, we've got roller brake tester, decelerometer, and the emissions, diesel and petrol. Okay. Bear in mind, has everybody got connected equipment? Got connected? Work okay? Yeah? All right. Bear in mind if this automation stops working, okay? If, for instance, your roller brake tester stopped working, the first thing you need to be doing is straight on the phone, okay? Straight on the phone to the DVSA, try and get an answer, let them know it's not working. You will be allowed to carry on testing for 7 calendar days, okay? However, you've got to let them know on day 1, not 3 or 4 days down the line and say, well, we've been using it anyway since Monday. You need to let them know as soon as you can. Okay, if you can't go and touch them through the phone, send them an email. So you've got that kind of traceability that you've tried to get in touch. Okay, going forward, I believe headlight testers nearly there. I believe so, okay? I think they're having a few issues of people set headlight testers up differently, don't they? You know, I might set it up different to you because you might look at it slightly different. So it's trying to get that point of where the cutoff is for a pass or a fail. Because if you go into a roller brake tester, you're going to get the same results there or thereabout that you go to another vehicle testing station. With a headlamp aim, it could go somewhere, he sets it up slightly different to this guy, so he passes it, he fails it. So it's too open-ended. So I believe the tolerances are sorted, and it's going to be coming pretty soon. Okay. If you change anything, so if you go and change something, so if you want to change your emissions machine and you haven't got a connected equipment, you need to be making sure you let them know. The thing is now, you do not have to ring them up and call them. Okay, you can do everything on the MTS depending on what role you've got. If you've got the correct role, you've got to do an ADM role. What you can do is if you sign in and you get a home screen up, so what I've done from the home screen, you'll have the 2 larger links on the home screen. You click onto your AE page, which is the top link. On the right hand side, what you should get is changing testing equipment. Okay, so just click into there. What you then get is, right, tell us about what you're changing. You click start now, you then get a list. Hit the little radio button. So if you're changing your decelerometer and you're going to connected, go through it, you get asked 6 to 8 questions, something along the lines of that. Does it change the class of the vehicle that you can test? Does it change your facilities, your layout, if you're changing a ramp, etc.? As long as you meet all that criteria, you get to the end, it says, right, go ahead, update your equipment, and we'll come check it when we do your site visit next time, okay? If you are going from non-connected to connected, you then need to go and order a connection key, site key, okay? One thing to bear in mind when you are ordering a site key, this on here. Go and request the key, okay? What you'll get is you'll get a form, you go through it, you fill your details in. Once you've requested a key, you need to go back to the home screen and click on View My Keys. One thing you've got to bear in mind is the email address that you order that key to. It has to be a unique email address. If you are a site manager, you cannot use info@joe-blogs-his-motors because everybody can access that, okay? It's got to be a unique email address that's personal to you, which is this bit here. So you email the key, that is for when the engineer's coming out. If you know when the engineer's coming out, if you're having a roller brake tester installed and he's coming on Tuesday, there's nothing saying on the Monday that you can't go, right, email me the key and I'll forward it to the engineer, ready for when he comes out on the Tuesday, and you haven't got to mess around. Okay, you can request it again, you can just keep sending it. And all you do is give it to the engineer and he'll make the connection work. He cannot verify that the connection part is actually working until you've done an MOT. Because when you go to your test logs, it'll say how you automated your brake rollers, it was either manual or automated. Okay, so what I would do is, as soon as he's done one, stick a car on the rollers, start an MOT, stick one on the rollers, make sure the connection's working. One quick thing, because I'm getting wrapped up. What they are trialling, there's going to be an update tonight. You'll see the system goes off tonight between 7 and 11, I think it may be. They're going to update the system, that they're going to start rolling out cameras. Okay? Not cameras fixed in your garage, however, cameras on a mobile phone. So it's going to go out, there's an update tonight. DVSA are going to play around with it for a couple of days. It's then going to get trialed on Monday for at least a month with 17 VTSs. You would go to the login page, you would click Start MOT. Instead of putting the details in, you go to the car, you take a picture. It brings the picture up, and then it says, right, verify what you've got in front of you. Okay? It's trying to stop that problem of job cards, details from job cards happening and inputting the wrong details on a job card. If for whatever reason it doesn't accept the picture, it will come up and say you need to take another one. So it might not be clear enough, you might get a reflection back off the car, it might not see all the car. Okay? Once they've done it, so I'd say at least a month, DVSA have either proceed with it, develop it, or just bin it and just let's try something else. Okay, but they're trialling that as of Monday with 17 VTSs across the UK. Okay, wrapped up. Any questions? Questions? Yeah. Are you on about web? That's all right. What is it you want to know? 3 hours of Group A, 3 hours of Group B, unless the topics are the same in both groups. So, but if, let's say, managing your CPD, which is one this year, managing your CPD is exactly the same in that group as it is in that group. So you don't have to do an hour training on manage my CPD on that group and then do the same on that group. The topics are exactly the same, they mirror one another. So you don't have to do them separately. The training is the same. If, like this time, the manuals, one there and one there, they're different. Even though the topics are the same, but they're two different manuals. So you'd have to do training in one, training in the other. But if it's a management thing or something like that that marries across both, you only need to train on it once. That makes sense? Anybody else? The photograph, think about it. If you're connected to an IP address, so, well, it verifies that you're on site and the car's on site, doesn't it? And then next year you come round, you take a picture and they go, there you go, this was a picture last year, is that the same car? You go, yeah, that's the car. You're never going to get away from that, are you? You're never going to get away from that. It's trying to come away from people putting wrong registrations and wrong chassis numbers in. And finding a car and going, yeah, that's it, and testing it. it's hopefully going to do away with that. DVSA are getting at the minute vehicle verification or test record, they get about 70 a week. Where testers are ringing up saying I've registered the wrong vehicle then. So they've got to do something. Got to do something. Do it on your phone. Yeah. No, you're logging on your phone. Logging on your phone. Go into the MTS on your phone, sign in, take a picture. You can, or you just sign in. I don't think it says it in there anymore. I think it's been taken out. I know it used to. Have a look. Okay, I'm done. I'm getting chucked off. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.
Sorry, 1 minute.